Good morning, and did you realize that Thanksgiving is right around the corner? Today I'm going to do something to get me a little bit ahead of the game. I'm going to work on prepping up my cauliflower. I'm also going to be teaching you how to make some stuffing today and something different for how to serve your sweet potatoes that I think everybody's going to love. The first thing I did with the cauliflower is took all of the greens off, cleaned up except for a small amount of stems, and cut it into sections. Now this is all from one head of cauliflower. I bought local, and they still have cauliflower, they have some broccoli, and some apples. They have all different kinds of stuff actually that you can still buy local. Now what I'm going to do at this point, and I already started my boiling water. Now this is at a rolling boil, so we're going to start putting this in here. We're not going to overdo it. I'm going to put probably about half. That should be good. We're going to bring this back up to boiling a little bit, and I am going to set the timer for 3 minutes. I want this to boil 3 minutes, and then we'll go to the next step. The 3 minutes are up, and what I did was basically pre-cook these. I didn't cook it all the way through so it's not soggy. I just did it enough. Now I'm going to put it in some ice water, and that is going to stop the cooking process. Now all I'm going to have to do is once I need these, I'm going to pull them out the day before, let them thaw in the refrigerator, and then I'm going to go ahead and steam them to get them ready for the casserole that I make with this. And I am going to put the recipe below. I'm not going to show you that today because the whole point of this is just getting it ready for that. We're going to let that come back up, and then we're going to go ahead and do these for 3 minutes. Now that that's cooled that way down, we're going to take them out, and then we're going to put them over here onto a dry towel because we don't want to put them in the freezer with all this water. Now the next batch is almost ready. We need to put more ice on this to cool that batch down, and then we're going to go ahead and bag them up. All right, now this is what it looks like when you put it into the bag. Make sure that you mark what it's for so nobody takes it by mistake. And then all we got to do is just put them in the freezer. And then we're all set and ready. All we have to do is take them out the night before so they're thawed and ready for that casserole. All right, now I'm getting this bread ready, and this is the key to a good stuffing. is I have a fresh loaf of Italian bread that I got from the local bakery, and it smells and looks great. The first thing I'm going to do is get this all sliced up. And now that we got it all sliced up, all we did was take and cut it into cubes. And you're just doing it like this. You have the oven already heated to 400 degrees because we're going to dry these out. This is also a way that you can make your own croutons. If you're doing this, all you do is melt some butter, drizzle over it, put your seasoning, mix it together, put it in the oven, let them dry out. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Then with this, simple like this, we're just going to cut it in 2 strips. And I'm using a serrated knife. And then we're going to go back and cut our cubes. The oven's all ready. It just went off. So this is probably going to take us a couple pans because you don't want them on top of each other. The whole purpose of this is to dry it out. All right, this is my first one. Let me get it in the oven. All right, these are good. 10 minutes at 400 worked out well. These are dry. I can set these aside, and then we're going to go ahead and put the next batch in. While I'm waiting for that last batch, I have my skillet, a couple tablespoons of butter. Then I'm going to add in some celery. Now, when it comes to Tim and celery, he does not like to taste it. He doesn't want pieces of celery. So, in order to get the flavor, what I do, and by the way, this is out of my garden. I still have stuff that I'm getting. I have celery out there. I have some romaine lettuce. And the beans have had it. I was actually going to let them dry anyhow because I needed some extra seeds. And then I would say if you have a full piece of celery, instead of just these smaller ones that I trimmed, I would say probably a couple stalks. But what I like to do is I like to take the inner pieces. Those are the most tender and most flavorful. Now what I do is, since I cut it thin, let me do my other knife. I like to just do it teeny tiny. And that way it cooks up, I get the flavor, but Tim does not have to worry about there being big chunks of celery in his stuffing. And once I got it cut up, I go back over it and I basically mince it up real small. Now we're going to get these vegetables started, and we need to cook them until they're translucent. So we're going to go ahead and melt this butter and get these cooked up. This is cooking up really good. They're almost ready. At this point, we need to add in some salt. And we need to add in some pepper. And if I see that we need to add in any more butter, then I have some extra here that I can go ahead and do so. And I am going to add another tablespoon into this. The last thing I want to do is add in just a teaspoon of minced garlic. I'm just going to heat that through. I don't want to burn the garlic, that's why I added it last. And I even turned off the burner. So this is basically just heating through in the butter. And I did go ahead and put one more tablespoon of butter in there as well. And now we're ready to assemble this. Now that we have the bread, the vegetables, and one scrambled egg mixed in there, and I don't mean scrambled by cooking, I mean just mixing it in the bowl so it's pre-mixed. We're going to start out by adding our spices, or herbs, and I am going to do 2 tablespoons of parsley. I'm going to mix that through. And that looks pretty good. Then we're going to do the sage next. And I have 1 tablespoon. What I'm going to do is sprinkle about half of that. And then I'm going to mix it. And I'll tell you, I use my nose to decide on how much sage. I'm going to go ahead and put the other half of the tablespoon in here. And I like quite a bit of sage, so I am going to add another half of my tablespoon. Now that's ready because I can smell it. So that was a couple tablespoons of parsley, a tablespoon and a half of the sage, and now we're going to be adding in our broth. I'm going to do a little at a time. I'll start out with a half a box. And we want to make sure it's moist enough because you do not want to have dry dressing. Now I'm going to switch to using my hands because I want to feel what that dressing feels like. I'm going to add more. And the reason why I like to add more as well is because I set this up for the next day. Now this one is actually going to be made today for our dinner, but this is the same way I'm going to be doing it for Thanksgiving. And then I'm going to be putting it in the refrigerator, and I'll have that done the day before. So that is one more thing that I do not have to worry about the Thanksgiving day itself. Now see how you can take your hands and move it apart? But if you take it and you squeeze it together, it does form a ball. That's how I like to set it up for the next day. Then on Thanksgiving, when I go to put this into the oven, if I need to add more, I'll go ahead and add more to it. And then I don't put mine into the bird. I like to put mine into a clay or ceramic container and then actually bake it in the oven. And now it's time to get the chicken ready. Since we are just having the two of us tonight, I am just doing a single chicken. We're not doing the whole setup for Thanksgiving. We actually are going to be having a lot of my family over. My sister's coming over. My brother is coming over. Then my son is going to be coming. Oh, and for those new timers who have never cooked a whole chicken or a turkey before, make sure and take the giblets out. Don't cook your turkey with this in it. A lot of people will make their stuffing and add cook these with the stuffing and have that. I don't prefer that. I don't like it. My dad used to love it. Then next I'm going to take each wing and I'm going to fold it under, just like that. Now, I'm not going to worry about tying these together. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. All I'm going to do is give it a quick rinse. Let it drip off. Then take a paper towel and we're going to dry it. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just getting that moisture off of the skin for us to get ready to start baking this. And I have the oven preheated at 385. You can cook this between 375 and 400. It's totally up to you. I'm doing 385 because I want to go ahead and bake it. And then after I'm done baking it, I want to brown the skin and I'm going to crank up the temperature to make it more crispy. So I have my roaster here and it just fits. And see how if you tie it, it's just going to be like this. But I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to do this and have a shallow pan. The next thing I want to do is get my butter mixture mixed up, and we're going to get this all buttered up. So let me wash my hands. And we'll start on the butter. I have some softened butter. And I say this is probably 3/4 of a stick of butter. We're going to add in some rosemary, and we're just going to sprinkle some in. I would say probably a teaspoon. We're going to move on to some garlic powder. Be careful with this. Don't do too much. I would say a half a teaspoon. Then we're going to add in some onion powder as well, and no more than probably a half a teaspoon would work. Then last, I'm going to add in some seasoning salt. And this, I'm going to go ahead and put a full teaspoon in there. And we're going to mix this all together. Make sure your butter is mixed up real good with all of your seasonings. You don't want to have one area that's a bunch of seasoning and then the others not. All right, that's good. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to do. We are going to take this butter that's seasoned and we're going to lift up the skin and we're going to put that right underneath of there. And then take and just move it around. And in fact, I'm going to use my hands because I'm going to loosen that skin so it goes all down in there. Put it down in the sides and just rub it all in there, just like that under the skin. The rest of it we're going to take and put it all over the top and the back. So this is going to be very moist and very flavorful. All right, that part is ready. Now we have this all covered with our butter. I am going to add a little bit of seasoning on top, just a sprinkle of pepper, nothing too major. And a little bit of parsley on the top, just a spritz. That looks beautiful. We're going to put the lid on. And you can also use a Dutch oven. That would work really well. And if you don't have that, a metal type pan would work as long as the handles can go into the oven as well and that there is a cover. So I have it at 385. We're going to get this into the oven. Now that we got that in the oven, the way the timing is going to work is I have it set at 1 hour. Now it's going to have to cook longer than an hour, but at that point, that gives me the opportunity to check it, see how much time is left, and then I'm also going to have to get the stuffing back into the oven to get that heated up as well. In the meantime, Tim wants some mashed potatoes, so we're going to go ahead and get the water on for that and get all the potatoes cut up. And then last, I'm going to go ahead and get the sweet potatoes cut up in cubes because those are going to go into the oven as well. Now the last thing I'm going to show you how to make is some basic sweet potatoes, especially for those people who've never made a dinner for other people for Thanksgiving. This way is something nice and easy and simple, and it doesn't have marshmallows on it or any type of topping. It's just going to be a nice, clean, sweet potato dish. Make sure you wash them up good. These are actually grown from the garden. And then I like to go ahead and peel them just like you would a regular potato. And then once I get this done, I'll show you what the next step is. Now that we got them all clean, the next step we're going to do is to get these cut into cubes. So start by cutting them in half and do them as if you were going to be making French fries out of them. Put them together, then cut them in small bite-sized cubes. Try to get them all the same size so that when you are baking them, or roasting them I should say, they're all the same size and they're all going to cook up the same. Now let's get these all cut up. Now the next step is you're going to take some oil. I like to use olive oil. You're going to drizzle it over it. Then we're going to sprinkle some salt. I like Himalayan. Then we're going to use our hands and make sure that all of it is covered. And there's a little bit in the bottom, which is fine. That's covered nicely. And all we're going to do at this point, we're not going to put it into the oven yet. The oven isn't ready. We're going to cover this with some plastic wrap until we're ready. Now there's two options we're going to have to bake these with. One option is we can put it right into foil and make like a little foil package, and we can go ahead and cook it that way. Or the second option that we have is we can use a baking pan. We can spread it out and we can bake it on that. It's been an hour. Let's take a look at the chicken. Let's see what it looks like. All right, it's looking good. I think what I'm going to end up doing though is probably giving it anywhere from a half hour to another hour. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in. All right, I set that for a half hour. So what I'm going to do at this point is go ahead and get these into their little pouch. So I take this way and then fold the ends up. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring this one this way and then fold the ends up. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this into the oven as well. All right, what I did is I just took the lid off. I got another half hour yet. It's going to brown the top and any skin that's exposed. Put the sweet potatoes back in. And now I need to add the stuffing in. So I had to change things up a little bit. Now you can see how I rearrange things so that it fits in there. I had a little mishap there, so I got the fire on here. We're going to be making a roux out of cornstarch and cold water, and then we're going to get the gravy ready. And by that time, then the stuffing's going to be ready, and we're going to be ready to eat. All right, all I did was put some cornstarch, maybe a tablespoon, in this cup, added cool water, and then I'm just mixing it up good. Then I'm going to add this in a little at a time. Until we thicken it. Then I'm going to probably add a little bit more of the broth in. And this does take a little bit of time, so be patient. It's not that it just turns into gravy in a few seconds. It takes a little bit of time. And once you get the right consistency, then quit adding the cornstarch because it will thicken up. I'm going to put a little bit of broth in here. See how it starts to bubble and then it starts to thicken? It's looking good. Almost there. And then if you really wanted to, there is a particular strainer that you can put this in and get the little pieces out if you want to. And the excess fat, you can take a paper towel and take that off, or a little spoon, and I'll show you. Like see here on the edge, you can go ahead and take that excess off. It doesn't bother me. We usually leave the excess on, but for the video purpose, I want to show you how to do it. There's also a pourer that you can get that will keep the fat back because the weight of that is different than the actual gravy itself. And now that has a good consistency. It'll pour nicely and it's thick enough that it's a nice gravy. So we're done with that. We're going to set this aside, and now we're going to get out the stuffing. Complete dinner. Roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, stuffing, sweet potatoes, and some yummy homemade gravy.